Hello there. Today we're going to talk about Raylib. What is it? Is it just a graphics library? Do I rate it? I think it's pretty good actually. Let's see some examples. Alright, so I've been teaching Raylib for a while in my course, programvideogames.com. Check it out if you want to learn game programming. We're going to walk through some examples of Raylib stuff today. So, starting with how you set up a window. So, what does Raylib do? Well, it handles window creation on your operating system. You don't have to worry about that. You can set a target FPS to 60 to make sure your frames always have a nice 0.016 second delay in between. And then you get a nice little API where you can do stuff like begin drawing and end drawing, and then you draw all these stuff in between. I'll walk you through some examples in a second, but first let's have a look at this. So what do we got? We got a window that opens. It's just a window 1280 by 720. Easy, didn't have to do anything. It's backed by GLFW, although you can also build with SDL or, I'm sorry, I forgot the name of the other one. There's another backend library as well, a windowing library. So this is the code that you need just to get set up. Pretty easy. With Odin, it's built into the vendor library, so you don't even have to do any like downloading or linking or anything. It just works. It's great. All right, so let's have a look at the next example. So you can draw simple shapes. Drawing simple shapes, here we go. So you can see we've got a nice draw circle V. The V is for vector, so we pass in a vector 2, which is this 690 by 360, and then the radius is 50. Color, which is yellow, so we're drawing a circle here. We're drawing some rectangle lines, so you can draw lines of a rectangle, not a full colored in rectangle, although you can do that as well. Drawing an arbitrary polygon, in this case 5-sided, and a nice Bezier. There's a bunch of drawing stuff. This is just really simple shapes, but you know, you can get started super easily. All right. Okay, this example. So we've got a circle. We set the circle position up here. We've got a polygon, some amount of sides. And then we've got some input code here, so we can handle input. You click, the circle is moving around, and then if we press E or N, you can see this polygon is increasing and decreasing the amount of sides it has. Pretty cool stuff. So that's all this stuff we had before. This is just showing there's input. You know, there's the position of the cursor, whether you're clicking, whether the keys are down or pressed. So down means held down, pressed means pressed this frame or this update loop. Okay, now we're going to look at drawing textures, if this will work. There we go, we got this nice little anime character here, best girl, very good. So, how do we do that? Well, there's some really nice loading functions as well. There's load image, there's load texture, so you can just load directly the image directly as a texture. In our case, we decided to do some shenanigans, so we added this text here on the bottom of the image by using image draw text. You can draw text onto the image and then load the image into a texture. And then down here, you can just draw the texture wherever you want. So pretty straightforward stuff, but lots of powerful stuff in here. I've been using it for months, and I'm still finding new things to do in the Raylib library. So you know, you can just have a read through all of these procedures. There's a lot of stuff in here. Drawing lines, drawing pixels, crazy. Checking collisions. We're going to get to that in a second. All right, let's have a look at the next example. All right, here we go. We got some basic animation. I mean, it's not animation in the sense of 2D or 3D animation, although I think there is some handling of a little bit of 3D animation. However, this is just, you know, we got some position, we got some speed, some distance, and then we've got these handy vector functions if your programming language doesn't have it, which Odin does have it, but I just use the Raylib ones. So there we go. You know, we normalize the direction, get the current position, and then just update it and then draw the polygon. Very nice. Okay, this has some technical difficulties. I've never recorded sound before on this computer, but this should be playing some nice Ragnarok Online spore dying sounds for it. So that's pretty cool. We can load sounds. We can play sounds. I believe you can also load and play music. Have a little looky. Here we go. Look at that. Playing music. Check the status of music. There's a lot of stuff going on. A lot of stuff. All right, simple text rendering. So by default, the font is this Raylib font, which I have a little confession. This actually stopped me from using this library for 2 years. So I saw the library, I saw this font, and I said no. And I actually regret that now. So that's a bit of a shame. But, you know, I got this nice yellow text here, and then do new lines. Odin, you can do new lines with these literal backticks, or you can use the \n if you use the normal quotes. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. There's a lot more to do with text, as there's a lot more to do with everything. Have a look at the next example. Alright, so we've got these overlapping rectangles. Very cool. I also added some input here so I can move them up and down. So you can see with just a little bit of code, we can get the collision response rectangle that we would need. So for example, if we were to move this white rectangle down by the height of this red rectangle, then they would no longer be colliding. So that's pretty cool. There's also some line intersection functions. There's a few other things. Why don't we just have a look at them? You know, checking points against triangles, points against polygons, points against lines, some more as well. It's not extensive, but it's enough to do a lot of simple. All right, this one is actually super handy. Raylib comes with cameras, 2D and 3D, which is just really nice for someone like me who always gets confused with vector mathematics, not vector, matrix maths, and you know which order you multiply the matrices and all that kind of stuff. Although you still have to do a bit of that if you go a bit more hardcore. But what I'm going to show you here is we've got this camera, got a zoom of 1, and then put the rectangles as usual. And then basically what we're doing is we're offsetting the camera. So actually moving the camera, we're not moving the rectangles. So yeah, you got to make sure you begin your drawing mode with the camera and then end your drawing mode. So anything in between here would be drawn with this camera settings, which means you can have multiple cameras and do some cool stuff like draw to different rendering targets and stuff, which I'm just about to show you. So look at that. All right, this is the last one, but we have just scratched the surface. So this one is showing off both a rendering target or render texture and a custom shader. So we've loaded this bloom shader here. I don't know if you can see these rectangles will look a little bit shiny, right? So they've got this bloom post-processing shader added. And how have we done that? Well, we've created a texture that's the same size as our viewport or our normal game, so 1280 by 720, right? And then we begin our texture mode. So this means we're going to render the next things onto that texture. So we render our rectangles as usual. Then what we do is we end the texture mode, and then later we begin the shader mode. So we load this shader, and then we begin shader mode, and then we draw the render texture to our screen using this shader. That's kind of like post-processing. Well, it is a post-processing. So we've basically drawn everything to a buffer, and then we apply this effect on. Pretty cool. There's a bunch of example shaders that you can just grab from the Raylib website that work. This one is from there, so I highly recommend checking them out. And yeah, that was just 10 quick examples of how to use Raylib and what kind of stuff. I'm sure that there's a lot more really interesting stuff that I'll show you in the future. So thanks a lot.